Hey everyone, it's Scott here with your daily property update. Now, one of the big things that all investors are concerned about and wanting to know about is tax change. The two big tax changes that have been on the table for a long time now and getting a lot of commentary in the media are scrapping of negative gearing and also scrapping of capital gains tax concessions for property investors. Now, before I get on to what I really want to speak about today and update you on, I just want to remind everyone that they did try to make changes to this in 2019. So Labour Party with Bill Shorten went up against Scott Morrison, the Liberal Party. Scott Morrison retained power in the 2019 election predominantly and primarily because Bill Shorten went after over 2 million Australian investors and said, we're going to make changes. We're going to scrap negative gearing. And he also wanted to tinker around with the capital gains tax stuff as well. But the main one was the scrapping of negative gearing. Now, they lost the election on that one policy suggestion alone. So will we ever see the scrapping of negative gearing? The answer is going to be no. And the reason for that is there's 2 to 2.5 million property investors all across Australia. This is a huge chunk of voters. Most of these voters are Labor voters, and these people will flip to Liberal should they attack negative gearing. Negative gearing is here to stay. Maybe they'll make some changes to the way it's done, but what a lot of people don't remember from 2019, Bill Shorten said, and maybe even smartly said, we're only going to change it for property investors on existing property. We will not change it for property investors that buy brand new property that require brand new construction. This is because Shorten understood that he didn't want to impact the building and construction industry because his best friends are the unions, and the building and construction industry is heavily unionized, especially on the big work sites. So they didn't really want to impact that apartment building and all that building, didn't really want to affect the unions and turn the unions against them. But also all Australians, for affordable property, we need a lot more property constructed, and you need funding for property. And mum and dad investors are the best source of funding because you can either get funding from the government itself. So the government has to fund all of these affordable social houses. Government has to pay that. They've got to find the funds for that, which they do not have the funds. We've currently got a $30 to $40 billion deficit in our budget. So there's no money to do that. Or you've got to get like big corporate money or big investor money or big super money to come along and build it. But the returns are not enough for this big money. That big money would rather get returned somewhere else. The only other place left to get funding to build and construct new property is mum and dad investors. And that's why we've got negative gearing. And that's why we have capital gains tax concessions to encourage these mum and dad investors to invest into property so that we can get new property built and constructed. So moving those benefits to only brand new property may in fact not be a bad thing. However, you've got to remember 2 to 2.5 million Australians all across the country are property investors. And hey, if you make changes there, they will swing against you in the polls. So will we see changes there? Absolutely no, we will not. Now this leads into what I want to update you on, because the McKell Institute recently put out this report and they said, hey, we recommend, and they're sort of taking a note from Bill Shorten, they're going back to 2019, they're saying, let's move these capital gains tax concessions for property investors, let's move it away from existing property and only apply it to brand new property that requires construction. This will help to encourage more construction of property. This will help us get out of the housing crisis. This will put a cap on housing growth because we will have more supply of housing. So I do want to let you know that this conversation is still swirling around. McKell Institute do advise the government. There's going to be a lot of talk about negative gearing. You're going to see a lot of it in the news. You're going to see a lot of news about capital gains tax and all of this. You're going to hear a lot about it, especially with Labor in full power with the Greens. The Greens are all for it, scrap it all. They believe that the federal government, the state governments can just pay for all of this social housing. I don't know where they think they're going to get the money from. We are in a budget deficit, $30 to $40 billion every single year. We've got $1 trillion in federal debt alone, not including the state government debt. So guys, we don't have the money to do that. We've got to get the money from big institutions, or we've got to get the money from mum and dad investors. So guys, McKell Institute, check out their report, check out their suggestions. But also remember, guys, you're going to hear a lot of news in the media about scrapping of negative gearing, scrapping of the capital gains tax. It's just not going to happen. That's your daily property update for today, guys. Hit the subscribe button if you want more updates around property. And guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.